welcome to the BumbleKast. I'm your host, Ian Flynn, the Bumble King, and joining me as always is my Bumble co-host, Kyle, JCRB Kraus.
I'm here. I am here, and I am ready to ask your questions to Ian, who will then answer them. It's a strange thing we got going on this show, but it works out.
It does, and it's worked out so much that we have almost hit the required number of subscribers on YouTube to become one of their pawns. So if we can get just another 125 of you people, which is a large number, but that means we've got, 800 something already?
Actually, less than 125, because we got, I think, at time of recording, I last saw 878.
Yowza! You guys have been coming in droves. Thank you so much. Just push it over that precipice so we can start running ads and you can ignore them and we can get like 5 cents a month.
And you can block them, yes. Or we can, by watching it, if you have YouTube Premium, that would help us out as well. So, yeah, it's the subscribe thingy down there. If you were so inclined, it does help. So thank you.
Yep. Thumb the bell, ring the face, whatever the buttons are. Just make the algorithm work for us so that we can work for it.
Push them all. Push them all. So, Ian, some news happened this week that is very interesting in the world of Super Smash Brothers.
Indeed. Sonic has been confirmed to be stronger than Mario.
Wow. It took this long for them to figure that out?
But it was conclusive. He just sucked that Italian upstart straight into another dimension.
Wow. Impressive. It's about time. It's become Super Smash Sonics? Is that the change now?
I haven't seen full confirmation of that yet, but yes, I believe that's the direction we're going.
Okay, cool. Excellent. It sounds perfect. Replace every character with Sonic. You got 50 different Sonics to choose from now. No, the actual news. Steve and Alex from Minecraft have come to Smash. Which
don't shortchange Zombie and Enderman.
And yes, that's true. But it's kind of... it's pretty neat. I think both of us are kind of... At least I'm in the camp of not being super into Minecraft, but the fact that there is... full representation of literally one of the most popular and best-selling games of all time in Smash Brothers is it's well-deserved.
Yeah, Minecraft is the type of game that I played the early beta.
Me too.
Before the Nether was a thing.
Yeah, same.
And
maybe right when the Nether was introduced for me, but yeah,
okay.
Still, it was very early on.
And I picked it up again on the Switch during the anniversary sale because I hadn't played it for a while. And it's one of those games that I will binge for an unhealthy amount of time for, I don't know, a couple weeks, maybe a month. And then I'm done for a bit. Mm-hmm. It doesn't help that the Switch version chokes if you go too far or too deep. The pop-up gets pretty bad. But overall, I've dabbled in it. I have enjoyed it. And on paper, I wasn't thrilled with the idea. I mean, yeah, I know what it is in terms of gaming history, but it's like, But seeing what they've done with the Minecrafters and how they've implemented all of the mechanics of the game into it and really, really made it a showcase for the franchise is really impressive. Like, I'm more into what they're doing to show off Minecraft more than the representation itself.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's kind of the thing about Smash, though, is that they always seem to treat the characters probably better than their original developers do in the terms of third-party characters, especially. It's always like they really, somehow they always seem to know exactly what makes a character appealing to people and what people enjoy about it. So I think it's awesome. I think it's really cool to have Minecraft representation in there. I know that there's a lot of kids who are really excited about some official Minecraft rep in Smash.
I mean, you think back to when Mega Man was revealed and how much we marked out. It's good that the wee ones that are coming up behind us get that kind of moment for themselves.
Right, yep. And same with like Banjo-Kazooie and stuff too, getting revealed. It's like our generation's Steve, in a sense. So it's just kind of funny that there's like two very normal named, like basically people characters in Smash now. You got Steve and Alex. It's like,
yeah,
just very normal, plain human names. Just regular dudes. And dudettes. And
watching
zombies.
The breakdown for how they work though makes me a little gun shy because they seem really technical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like if you figured out how to optimize the stage for the mining and the crafting, and you can get the timing of those block placements down, I can see the Minecrafters being absolutely terrifying to fight against. But you really got to know what you're doing. And I have a hard enough time with the basic characters.
yeah. It's definitely a character with a lot of depth, which makes sense. They mine things, so they go far down. They have a lot of depth. Anyway,
I'm hoping against hope that the final encounter in classic mode is just a giant Ridley to reenact the Ender Dragon.
Sure. That would be pretty cool. We'll have to see what happens. We'll find that out.
Unless they go like all out and they actually give you a fight with the Ender Dragon. It's Smash Brothers. You can't discount anything at this point.
Pretty much. No. Yeah, it could be anything. Yep. Travis from No More Heroes was also revealed as a Mii costume, which is kind of neat. So, yeah, that's the fun stuff from Smash. And I was actually kind of surprised because didn't they announce beforehand a second Fighter Pass would not have third-party characters? Oh, and Bomberman also. How could I forget Bomberman? Jeez, I've been asking for Bomberman since the beginning, pretty much. Like, where's Bomberman in Smash? Mii costume is the best we'll get, but still.
At the very least, the Bomberman colors change to your Mii colors, so there's some variety in there. That's kind of neat.
Yeah, that's really cool. But I mean, I would like to have full Bomberman representation, but he makes a good Mii costume, so I'll take it.
Mm-hmm. And he's got the assist trophy, so
sure,
it's something. It's more than what some will get.
Yeah.
I don't remember them saying no third-party characters. I just remember them saying that the roster had been selected by the higher-ups, not Sakurai-san himself.
Okay, maybe that's what happened then, but I don't know. Supposedly it took 5 years of negotiations to get Steve in Minecraft, or Steve from Minecraft in Smash, so, It might have taken that long for Banjo-Kazooie, too, but we just got him sooner.
I mean, he did imply that he had to call in, like, all the favors to get some of this stuff to go. And if there's a Smash after this, there's no way that it will have all the content again, but that's okay, because I feel like this Smash Brothers is it. This is one giant treasure trove love letter to video games itself, and that's good enough. Yes. Like if they had to cancel the next Fighter Pass with just Steve and all of them, I'd be content. The game is just ludicrously huge in terms of content.
I mean, there's a reason why they called it Ultimate. It's literally like the ultimate version. So I don't know, though. Maybe they'll keep going afterwards, but we'll see. I think that's enough Smash talk for now, though. We should probably go ahead and get into the Q&A.
You can ask questions to the show via email at BumbleKast@yahoo.com. Tweet to us at BumbleKast. Comment on any of the YouTube videos down in the comment section. If you're a patron, message us or post pretty much anywhere on the Patreon page or in the Ask Questions channel on the patron exclusive Discord. Or if you want to reach out to us, get to us to Ko-fi. That's ko-fi.com/BumbleKast. If you want to jump to the head of the line and become a priority questioner, send $5 our way over on patreon.com/BumbleKast or send us a coffee via Ko-fi. Just please make sure to include your name and your question, because if you just send money at us, well, be happy to have it, but we don't know what you want us to do with it. A few ground rules going in. If we've answered the question on one of the recent episodes, we're not going to answer it again. We are still working on that gigantic behemoth of a list of questions so that you'll be able to search it, but it's real simple to just go back 2-3 episodes and read the description below. Meet us somewhere in the middle, guys. We've moved the middle so close to you. Please help us help you. If it's a question about what would have happened in the old Archie books that I will cover in Lost Hedgehog Tales one day, not going to answer it. We have fudged on this a tiny bit, but it's for like stuff that is so minor and inconsequential, I'm not afraid of it ruffling any feathers. More in-depth stuff, that's where we're going to draw the line. Also, if you have your question answered on one of the FAQs over at bumbleking.com, not going to answer it because I did already on the FAQ. Go read it.
Well, keep in mind, if your question hasn't been answered in a while, check all those places and all those things, and maybe you'll see. Here we go. Let's get into the priority Q&A, starting off with Ink Pants. I was curious if you could give us an idea of the creative process for IDW Sonic during the time of COVID and how it compares to prior years. What are some of the challenges you've had, and how did you overcome them?
I actually timed this just right. I didn't time it. Events fell into place just right, where I had pretty much wrapped up my contributions right as things got bad and things shut down. I'm pretty sure that we had most of 2021 figured out as well. So I was already twiddling my thumbs and working on other stuff when COVID kicked in. And let's see. I think Bad Guys, has that been written yet? Shoot, I don't remember now. It feels like it's been years, man, and it only started in March.
Yeah.
It's
been years, and it just started simultaneously.
Like, personally, I didn't feel much of an effect in terms of workflow because everything I do is kind of feast or famine. You know, I either have everything on my plate right now, or I'm desperately looking for work or waiting for things to be approved so that I can move forward. And invariably, everything happens at once. So the fact that we had that long break where nothing was happening wasn't too unusual for me. And when things booted back up, it was kind of like the same old, we finally got approvals for everything. We need to make up for lost time. Go, 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 go. So for me, in terms of work, it really didn't affect me much at all. Mentally, financially, socially, those are all different stories. But in terms of just IDW Sonic, it didn't actually derail me much at all.
Alrighty. Next one comes from tKoS. Are the Chaos Emeralds sentient like the Soul Emeralds? Have you gotten anything from SEGA or Sonic Team about this?
I don't know. I haven't pushed the issue because the will of the Emeralds is so vague and barely touched upon. It's not really water I want to wade into. I feel like it might have been something used as an excuse for a game or two, because I can't really think of a standout moment before or since where that's really come up. If there's a greater thinking to it, I'm sure we'll stumble across it at some point. But short answer is, I don't know.
Next up, Andrew D. has a question. In the description of issue 12, it mentions that it is the conclusion to the Battle of Angel Island saga. Is this referring to the 4-issue arc of issues 9 through 12, or the whole overarching saga of issues 1 through 12? I remember at one point you'd like to refer to it as the Neo Metal Sonic saga until it was given an official name. So I'm curious if this is actually the official name for the whole first saga or not.
No, it refers to the issues where they're actually fighting for Angel Island. That's why it's the battle for Angel Island, because they're battling for Angel Island.
But then you also call it like season 1, so...
Yeah, I call it season 1. I like to call the whole thing Revenge of Neo Metal, but I don't know if that's what IDW plans on using. I don't know if there is any official name, but for that particular arc, yes, that's the battle for Angel Island.
Next up, Papadripopolos. Many years ago, around when you were writing The Iron Dominion, I asked you if Iron King trying to get into the old Mobotropolis ruins was a reference to Asterix, since it somewhat reminded me of that sort of comedic moments with the Romans trying to get past the defenses of the Gaul village, and if I recall correctly, You replied that, sadly not, you weren't familiar with it. So similarly to the Gundam question, how familiar are you with Euro comics? I know a couple of them have made it here as American cartoon versions, like Smurfs and Marsupilami. Marsupilami. Okay, I had seen that name before, but for some reason pronunciation escaped me. But have you ever read the comics themselves? Asterix, Tintin, Spiro and Fantasio, Dylan Dogs, Smurf, Lucky Luke, Yokotsuno, Valerian, Laureline, and more importantly, how can I get you to go on a reading spree of this stuff? Do I have to mail you some of my old copies of Isnagud? A lot of it is actually available on Comixology these days. For instance, I've read Giorgio Cavazzano's wonderful Casablanca parody in Topolino via Comixology. And by gum, you're friends with John Gray. Get recommendations from him and go on a Disney Comics deep dive, please. Get some of the recent Fence stuff, even if only for the art. Anything.
I am woefully behind on a lot of media.
Same.
European comics included. Two that I have had at least a little bit of time with. Blacksad by Juan Diaz Canales and Ioano Guarnido. Shoot, I am so sorry if I butchered their names. But I've read a bit of that, and I was asked to do a back cover blurb for Vincent by Vitor Krafagi. Again, I'm very sorry if I ruined that name. So I got a free look at that book, so I could do kind of a quick review of that. The former, I believe, is a French-published series. The latter is Brazilian in origin, and they're fun. It's good to read something outside of the Western-oriented books that are so focused on superhero material. I mean, there are indie books out there. There are other folks who are making use of the medium, but when you think of North American comics, you usually skew toward superhero stuff. I know of Asterix and Tintin and so much more, and if I had the time and the funds, I would love to get into it more, but there's only so many hours of the day and so much attention I have to spread around, and it's unfortunate.
My only experience really is, first of all, I've seen reruns of the old Smurfs cartoons, and I have played a little bit of the technically very impressive Game Boy Advance Asterix games. It's like a full-on 3D platformer, and really well done for GBA. But that's about it. I know of Tintin, but I don't really know much about it otherwise. And Valerian, I am also familiar with, but that's mainly because of the movie that bombed. So that's how I found out it existed. So, but outside of that, I am sadly not very well versed in European comics. Sadly. I have a friend who is very much a big fan of the Asterix comics, though. So I've been meaning to check some of them out someday, eventually.
Part of it too is some of them have been around for so long and are so prolific. It's kind of daunting to even know where to start.
Right. I mean, that's true of most comics, to be fair.
All right. Yeah.
At this rate, but still, yeah. They some of them are very long running, so it just kind of, I guess it just kind of depends. Next up, we got one from Scruffymatt. I was wondering about the Babylon Rogues. Do you know if the flames on their arms are tattoos, or what the design choice was there? Also, do you think they would work in one of the racing titles like Transformed or TSR? I guess it would seem a little odd to not have them on their extreme gear, but on the other hand, racing is kind of their whole deal.
In terms of the flame markings, I think that's just markings. Kind of like Knuckles' ring under his neck. I think it's just part of their body. If there's any greater thinking to that, I don't know. I'm not really overly familiar with the thinking behind their designs. All I know is that there was an early pass in which they had feathery hands and a talon motif on their boots, and they looked so much cooler than the final design.
Yeah, they did. They really did.
In the racing games, yeah, I feel like they've been kind of shortchanged there. And sure, they're best known for their airboard extreme gears, but even within the Rider series, you had different shapes of extreme gear. You had bikes, you had yachts, you had parasails, you had skates. Just plug up in some kind of car-like thing and call that an extreme gear. Have it float instead of have tires.
Yeah, it's a little weird that the characters they created specifically for a racing game have not reappeared in, well, anything really except for Sonic Force's Speed Battle.
Yeah, I wonder if they are considered just Riders characters and not Sonic proper. But then we never ever got any pushback to use them in the comics. So I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's so weird. They should just open it all up. Whatever. Just let them all play. Put all the toys in the same box and let them play together. It's fine.
Amen.
Amen. Sega, you don't need to do this. I don't know why I almost said Nintendo there. I got a question from Noni here. Since the power of the cacophonic conch only lasts as long as you can blow it, is it possible to record the sound and still have it work? Is that why neither Starline or Eggman have tried, or is that more of a hubris thing?
I think it's more along the lines that it's difficult to reproduce. There was a series I was watching on YouTube, these fellas who work in visual design, and they look at other special effects and such and do commentary on it. Entertaining group of guys. And they were talking about how in Mary Poppins, they use a very different technique instead of green screen. And the reason why the technique never caught on beyond that was that supposedly the prism used to manipulate the light for the camera cannot be replicated. That whatever matrices this prism contains cannot be reproduced, and that it has either been lost or it is locked in the Disney vaults forever and ever. So, provided that's true, and that sounds weird enough to be true, imagine the cacophonic conch. Man, that is not easy to roll off the tongue.
No, it is not. It's not easy to say. It's very... it has a lot of harsh syllables.
Which is fitting, given what it does, but
true.
I imagine it... the sound that it produces is very difficult to replicate.
Yeah. Next up, we got one from Off. Do you think today's instant gratification-centered mindset has had a negative impact on how people view comics? There didn't seem to be as much complaining back when people were used to waiting a week for a new episode of their favorite show or a whole month to see what was going to happen in their favorite comics. But with today's highly accessible digital market and on-demand media, do you think that plays into why people get so upset when something happens they don't like in a comic? Because they have to wait so long to see what happens next, they become disgruntled and start finding faults in every little thing? Basically, are people just spoiled?
I think that is a factor, but not the deciding factor. No. I think a larger issue is that people are able to express their opinions to a larger audience more readily. Go back 10, 20 years, and you wouldn't be able to have the same kind of discourse that you have today, if you want to call it that. If you were waiting for a twist to be resolved in a book or whatever, you could talk about it with your friends. If you were savvy enough to be on Telnet back in the day, maybe you could be in one of those email groups.
Hanging out on the old BBSs.
Yeah. It was, the internet was not really much of a thing until very recently. I think the unfiltered fountain of opinion that is the internet, and the fact that folks are more likely to complain than to praise, I think that's just human nature, is more at issue here. It's much easier for someone to be offended or be disgruntled and have a tempest in a teapot rally around them nowadays, because all you have to do is go on Twitter, and if your hashtag takes off, boom, you've got instant attention, and unfortunately it can lead to some knee-jerk reactions. I've some of the stuff, I'm looking back on some of the major moments in Spider-Man recently. like when they announced Brock was coming back as Anti-Venom, and everyone was rolling their eyes because, oh, he's just White Venom. Oh, Anti-Venom. That's so unoriginal. They're completely out of ideas. Why can't they just make him normal Venom? Blah, 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 blah. Rant, rant, rant. And the story comes out, and it was actually an interesting take on Brock's character and turning some things on its head. And by the end of it, a lot of folks were, keen on the idea. They liked it. They wanted to see more of it. But by that point, there had already been so much gnashing of teeth and tearing of hair that they wrote him out. Kind of along the same lines as just about anything that's happened in Spider-Man lately, I suppose, just in particular. So I think the need for instant gratification is certainly part of it, the desire to have things resolved immediately. But I think it's more the unbridled opinions out there and industry still figuring out how to manage public relations when they want immediate action. So I guess there you have that immediate gratification rearing its ugly head again. I think that what we're seeing is not necessarily the new norm, but the slow transition of a trend. I think people are starting to get burned out from binge watching on Netflix or going through an entire run on a comic because that's what they have at their fingertips. I think we're going to eventually see things ease up so that folks want to have a little bit of delay to enjoy the wait. It's weird, but being made to wait for something can be enjoyable in its own way. I mean, look at the Smash Brothers reveals. We're already chomping at the bit to know who the third person for this release is going to be. And the wait for that can be agonizing, but that's also kind of fun. They announce, hey, we're going to announce this on October 1st. Everyone's losing their minds for like 2 days. What's it going to be? Who's it going to be? Here's all our votes. Here's all our guesses. So I see things hopefully kind of trending in that direction again. And as for overall how to manage public opinion on the internet in terms of consumable media, I can't even begin to guess how to tackle that beast. That's going to be up to each company and each product.
Yeah, the accessibility of creators has definitely, I think, been more of a factor than
True.
The instant gratification. So, like you said, the ability to actually be able to converse with creators on Twitter and, go on there and immediately tell them how much you hated something that they did or something that they didn't do, but they're still blaming you for it anyway, which will inevitably start happening to you here, Ian. Actually, I think I already saw somebody asking you about something that Evan was doing. So here we go. So, but yeah, I think that more than anything is sort of the main factor here. And also it is, a lot of it also comes down to people who do not necessarily grow up, or they don't have experience with being in the fiery bowels of the internet. So they get on Twitter and all of a sudden they're just inundated with people spewing all kinds of things their way, and they don't know how to necessarily handle that. So it just kind of ends up being a self-fulfilling circle of I don't know how to describe it, but it's like a perpetual motion machine of anger. It seems like. So yeah, those are my thoughts. That's what I really think is more of the driving force than anything behind that. Next up, we got another one from Kofi. This one comes to us courtesy of Son Amy channel. Ian, will classic Amy Rose be in the upcoming IDW Classic Sonic comic miniseries next year for the 30th anniversary Sonic anniversary? Why did I say anniversary twice there? I don't know. It's not written there, but anyway. If so, will it be explained where classic Amy was and what she was doing during the events of Sonic Mania and Sonic Forces?
I can't talk about any of that yet because it's barely been announced.
Uh-oh. future Sonic plans. Can't talk about those. Well, I think that's it for the priority Q&A. Actually, I know that's it for the priority Q&A because I made the list, dang it. I have been sorely ignoring, not deliberately, but overlooking a lot of Twitter questions. So almost all the questions this week come to us from Twitter, from the standard Q&A. So sorry about that, guys. Hopefully this is a good way to get caught up on it. So first up, Callahan Clan. I've seen some back and forth regarding mandates, so I figured I'd ask again for clarity. Knuckles cannot leave the floating island, yes? No?
Well, he can. It's just we have to find reasons for him to. Part of the issue we ran into at the end of the Metal Virus saga is that initially I wanted him and Espio to team up against Zaz, but was told that there was no way that he would leave the Master Emerald unguarded with Eggman there, except Gemerald was going to guard it, but Knuckles wouldn't trust anyone else to guard the Master Emerald, so we just kind of argued in circles until I lost. Knuckles can leave the island. I mean, the games have set that precedent, so that's what I would fall back on. But I don't know, man. It's one of those things where that's what they've decided it's going to be for a little bit, and it may change later.
Next up, Acquainted Sonic Fan. I just wanted to ask something. Is Shadow allowed to have any emotional attachments or friendships with anyone?
I don't know. The impression I've gotten is that the mentality is that he never has and he never will. Or at the very least that he doesn't emote outwardly, so you can't really tell. It's one of the reasons why I haven't really used Shadow a whole lot as of late. And when he is used, it's him beating things up and not talking a lot, because that gets approved.
Typical Shadow. Or not. I don't know. Sonic Star 917 asks, Mr. Flynn, I heard you explain how the Nocturnus Echidna clan was different from the Dark Legion. Could you tell me?
Oh, man. Going way back. They are and they aren't. I mean, in terms of technologically advanced splinter cell of echidnas resigned to a pocket dimension by a powerful force, they're the same thing. But when you get into the details, they are fairly different. For one thing, the Nocturnus clan actually gets stuff done.
Oh! More like Dork Legion.
Yeah. And I want to say the Nocturnus clan was only like a single generation within the Twilight Cage. I could be wrong. It's been a very long time since I've had to delve into that canon, and it's non-canon anyway, so I haven't devoted a ton of mental space to that. That, and you've got the Gizoids all related to the Nocturnus clan, whereas the Dark Legion didn't really have an iconic set of robots. They have those weird android things, but they seem to be forgotten after like issue 3. So it's more of a nuancy detail sort of thing.
Next up, Clay A has a question. Do you think the Nintendo today would approve of the Mario or Metroid or Kirby or other Nintendo property comics? And do you think you'll pitch another series to them again?
Well, I mean, we've got the ARMS book with Dark Horse that's in development limbo. I mean, that's proof enough that they're at least open to the idea. If I had the opportunity, I absolutely would be all over it. But that depends on a bunch of factors, like who's publishing it, and do they want me, and what's the property, and blah, 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 blah.
Next up, here's one from Brian Z. Would you be so kind to tell me what kind of animal is Cortez from Sonic Universe number 95?
I believe he was supposed to be a ferret or a badger. Was he a badger or a ferret?
Well, he doesn't look like Styx, so I don't know if he's supposed to be a badger.
Well, he was also developed before Styx.
Oh, okay.
So,
maybe
he was a badger.
He's more of a pointy nose, but
yeah,
Styx.
Well, do you remember what he was? Aaliyah thinks it was a badger, so we're going to go with badger.
Badger.
Badger. Cancelled.
Mushroom. Bloody Gal has a question for you, Ian. Love your writing for the Sonic IDW comics. I know you don't take requests, but it'd be awesome to see Amy Rose tie her hair up when she's in a more dire scene. Her confidence reminds me of Violet Baudelaire. She ties her hair when she needs to invent a serious plan.
I have no idea what the reference is, but probably not, because that's not what Amy does.
Next up, question from Madeline Segastar 7. What type of font is used in the IDW Sonic comics for the dialogue text in the speech bubbles?
I asked around, and it kind of depends on who is doing the book at the time, but I believe that the most commonly used font is called Might Makes Right Pro.
Comic Sans isn't good enough, huh?
Given that Comic Sans is kind of like the joke font.
Yeah, so? Next question comes from Crab's Hand. I was wondering if Mephiles would come back to the comics. How would you do it?
I would find some way to explain it as timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly nonsense. But as of this recording, he is dead, and I can't touch him.
Well then.
I mean, Sonic did kind of travel back in time and snuff him out of existence and create a highly unstable time loop, but it's neither here nor there.
Yeah,
quite literally.
Oh boy, now you've done it. Don't think about it too hard. That's it for the Q&A for you, Ian, but we got one more.
Yeah. We got one from Tick for you, Kyle.
Uh-oh.
You are tired of AAA games, but what are your thoughts about Microsoft and Xbox Series X saying that they're going to have quadruple A game studios? Doesn't that become a movie studio at that point?
I don't even know what that means. What does that mean, Microsoft? What does that mean?
It's the modern version of blast processing.
I guess. Does that mean like you're going to increase the amount of overtime and crunch by a factor of another factor? Or does that mean you're going to bloat the budgets even further, making development even more of a slog for people as they try and have issues with feature creep and other things? Does that mean you need to sell even more millions of copies in order to break even? What does this mean, Microsoft? What are you doing to me? What are you doing here? What are you doing to your employees? It's
once in a console generation game because we don't have time and money to produce more than one.
Yeah, pretty much. Honestly, it really just feels like marketing speak. It just really feels like just a hype machine going into overdrive. Someone thinking they were real clever and could get people excited by talking about having more A's in their game studios. No, it's just it's just gross. So yeah, I'm so sick in so many ways of the bigger budget game studios and their and the publishers especially. I'm tired of it all, Ian. I just want like retro style 2D platformers and racing games that are good and they don't have to be expensive. It's fine. It's fine. You don't have to make games that look mind-blowingly realistic. I mean, the most popular games of the last few years have all been really simplistic, fun, easy to pick up and play games. Fall Guys, for example, that's the most recent example. Or Among Us, a very, very simple game. That's all you need. That's all you need. And these things make tons of money, and they're well-loved, and they're adored for a reason. That's all you need. All right, we got one last thing to get to before we head off here, because we got a comment here from patron Papadripopolos. And this is actually some pretty interesting statistics. Just did some quick accounting. I might have gotten it wrong, something wrong here or there, but I think you're at 280 issues of Sonic total written, counting stuff like wrote one story for the issue, like annuals, in your career. Double check it on your own if you want. You might be nearing a nice milestone to celebrating your career.
Yeah, I don't think you're far off. It kind of depends on how you want to define, my if I've done a book, like if I did the lead story or if I was a contributing writer or whatever. I wouldn't like count an annual because I had such a small contribution to the overall whole, but depending on how you count it, yeah, it's probably somewhere around there.
Yeah,
I was actually thinking
you're pretty close to 300 credited issues of Sonic comics, so that's pretty cool.
I was thinking about something along this line not too long ago and doing the math. If I continue to do something within this franchise up through the year 2028, which isn't that far off now, I will literally have spent half my life working on Sonic the Hedgehog.
Wow. I'm kind of wondering, in terms of people who have been involved with the franchise in some way, if you aren't at least amongst the longest tenure at this point. I don't know how long. How long has Izuka been involved with Sonic? It's like his late 90s, right? I think he was in the Sonic Adventure.
So,
yeah. But... So he might have you beat, but it's probably pretty. You're probably one of the.
I would certainly hope he has me beat.
Well, he might. I mean, I don't know. It depends on how long he's been. How long he's actually been there, but yeah, outside of Sonic Team, definitely you are almost surely one of the longest running people involved. So, I'm getting word that Izuka was actually credited in Sonic 3. So, whoops.
There we go.
Wow, okay. So he's been involved with it for nearly 30 years almost. That's an impressive run.
Yeah, I that strangely. I find that comforting.
Okay. And
it's kind of like looking at that number. It's like, that's obtainable. That's kind of a neat factoid. And the other part of me is going, dude, that's a lot of your life devoted to the little blue hedgehog.
Hoshino actually has been involved since Sonic CD. So he might be, he actually probably is the longest running person continually involved with the series. So. But you're definitely up there. You're on the list somewhere, and it's not low. So
I guess I'm wearing the number 3 headband at this point.
Pretty impressive. I don't know if you're number 3, but you got to be up there somewhere. I'm sure there's plenty of people in Sonic Team who've been there for a really long time too, but plenty of other people, the ones we don't hear so much from or about. So, but I mean. It's pretty rare that anybody is involved with a franchise in comics for nearly 300 issues. So even though the franchise has changed hands and been rebooted multiple times, it's still you, man. It's still you. So that's pretty cool. And that's going to do it for this edition of the BumbleKast. Do we want to give the shout out to the supporters and lovely people on Patreon who help make the show possible? Big thank you to Daniel H., Salute Your Cat, Robotnik Holmes, Rachel W., Invade Turbo Tunis, Scorched F., Lauren W., Off, Jonathan D., a.k.a. Ink Pants, Sony, Blue Title Gamer, Kubeling Crew, Andrew D., Papadripopolos, Matthew S., Chris A., John B., James K., Jennifer R., Torchbound, Jennifer H., Lisa M., Piggybank, Daniel B., Somewhat Gooey, Godzilla, Chaos Universe, Sonic Legacy, Owen B., Preston M., Yami M., Tick Tick, Justin S., Silly String, Tukaro, Lee H.K., Overthinking Films, Don B., John M., Chauvel, Mike B., Diz, Samuel P., Alex P., Justin G., Dave M., Sam Cybercat, and Final Neil. Very final. Where can people find you on the internet after the show's over, Ian?
You can find me on Twitter at IanFlynnBKC, my personal website, bumbleking.com, or read my original series, Drogoon, over at drogoon.com. That's DROGUNE.com. Kyle, what about you?
You can find me on Twitter at KyleJCRB, or you can also check out kngi.org, where you can find archived episodes of the BumbleKast in MP3 downloadable format for your listening pleasure on any MP3 device. You can also check out my other show, Nitro Game Injection, which streams live on Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time as well. If you're into video game music remixes, arrangements, covers, particularly of the fan-made variety, be sure to check that out.
Follow the show on Twitter at BumbleKast. Contact us at BumbleKast@yahoo.com and listen to us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, our own YouTube channel, and KNGI.org.
Hit us up on the Bumble store at shop.spreadshirt.com/Bumble store. You can grab some Bumble gear and get the BumbleKast logo and our beautiful cartoony faces emblazoned on a variety of different products. So go check that out.
Also catch us gaming live on BumbleKast Gaming Live. That's on twitch.tv/BumbleKast Gaming. Usually Sundays at 10 p.m. Eastern Time and possibly throughout the week. Subscribe to us on Twitch or make sure to follow our Twitter to find out any kind of announcements.
And that's going to do it for this edition of the BumbleKast. I think we're done. I don't have
just one episode this week.
Yep, that's it because we had quite a few questions, but not quite enough to get to that second episode. Oh well, maybe
next week.
Maybe next week we'll be inundated with priority Q&A. Do it, patrons, do it. I dare you.
That's going to wrap us up for this week. We'll see you next week for more BumbleKast Q&A. Have a good one, everybody.
Do it.
Peter Porcupine pricks plenty of precocious penguins.
Good enough.
Stick with Peter.
Sure, good enough. Power wheels.
Get that boom boom pow.
Something like that. Don't barf on yourself.
Don't tell me what to do.
Okay. You've been listening to the BumbleKast, a co-production of Bumble King Comics and the KNGI Network. Original theme music composed by Ken Coda Snyder. Remixed intro by T-Lopes. Find out more information, along with podcast feeder links, MP3 downloads, and more at bumbleking.com and kngi.org.
Daring Flynn of mystery, a champion of right, swoops out of the shadows to record a podcast tonight. The meter's slightly off, but hey, who am I to judge? It is Bumble King and his co-host. It's Kyle Krausity. Krausity. Wait.
I like how I'm the launch pad in this equation.
I'm slightly jealous, but
that is accurate. Very accurate.
The vainglorious lead with delusions of grandeur and the good-natured, easily entertained, and technically competent sidekick. I dig it.
I suppose, yeah. I don't crash planes virtually I crash planes, but yeah.
We haven't recorded that BumbleKast gaming yet.
So. No, not yet.
Excuse me.
It will happen, though. Oh, it will happen.